Hello and thank you for joining me today on my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to break down the subject of a pet portrait done in soft pastels, and I'm going to break the portrait down into different sections for you, which are the most important elements of the portrait. The first one, and because it's actually the highest up on the picture, is actually the portrait of the cat's ear. And this is very specific because in order to get depth and then make it look as if it's actually curved, there are certain ways of working to get that effect. So I'm going to be using a mixture of PanPastels, stick pastels and the pastel pencils in lots of different colours, and I will be using applicators for PanPastels, and I will show you how to do the blending and the layering of colours and then the fine details of the fur that cover the ears. This is the first in 3 sections. There will be the ear, the eye, which is very important obviously and specifically for cat's eyes, and the nose, which can be a little bit tricky and if it isn't done right can detract from the rest of the picture. So I hope that you'll enjoy this. Please do subscribe so that you make sure that you get the rest of the tuitions, and if you have any questions or you want to contact me at all, please don't hesitate, and I hope you'll enjoy this. I'll see you at the end. So we have our cat portrait drawn out onto the Pastelmat paper, which is a dark blue, and now I'm just working with a carbon black Derwent pencil to outline that ear against the background. You'll see that most of the background at the moment is done on the left hand side as we look at the cat, but I want to just fill in a little bit on that right hand side before I go too far. This is to stop me actually smudging the work that we've done when I come to finish that background later on. Where it touches up against the cat, it really needs to be done so that we can work without worrying about pushing fur into that, making sure that it's all complete. So I'm just quickly finishing that off, just rubbing that little bit in where we're going to be working around that ear. So now it's back in with the carbon black, and really starting to put some colour into that ear and making sure we've got a good firm outline against the whitish beige of the backdrop. The cat is actually completely black, so we're going to have a nice dark ear to work on here, but that doesn't mean it's just going to be black. After the outline, I'm working with a darkish burgundy pit pencil, which gives that nice sense of actually blood in the ear, which of course is part of the cat's body, so it does have life to it. This makes a good basis for putting other colours on the top. The white tracing lines will disappear, don't worry that they're going to be left, and if by chance they were difficult to remove, they would actually work as hair in this particular instance anyway. Now with a slightly flesh coloured Caran D'Ache soft pastel pencil, starting to put a little bit more pale colour against that edge there, over the top of the burgundy and blending. We want this to be nice and soft at this stage. This will be the basis for the lighter fur hairs that go right across towards the end, and a slightly redder Caran D'Ache pencil to just give that a little bit more warmth. And then back over the top with the carbon black. The Derwent carbon black is not too black. I know that sounds daft. It is a nice warmish black. There are darker blacks which would come as the Caran D'Ache ones, and some of the Sennelier pen sticks are very, very black. But for this instance we're working with this nice warm black, and because it's pencils we can work in quite fine detail. Starting to work some of the black across the ear. The tip is actually quite dark, and now I've got a lovely Caran D'Ache blue black, which is almost the same colour as the background pastel paper, but not quite. It's a little bit darker, but not so dark as the black. Now we've got the black PanPastels with the soft applicator, so we can actually apply this black which comes down all the way across that side of the ear, and it's much quicker than trying to do it all with a pencil. Although you could do, if that's something that you've got and you haven't got the PanPastels, you can see how quickly that we can cover, and softly blend it all in together so that we've got a nice ear shape going on. Back with the pencils to put a mid-grey fur line coming from the edge of the ear. Cat's ears are not furry with light colours all the way from the edge, they've got this dark edge on this black cat. So starting to put in little bits of colour there, just soft grey and a little bit paler colour here, and bring that across. And that's actually going to be blended. I'm going to do a little bit of blending to get some paler colours going. Starting to add some little suggestions of fur here. Turning the pencil to keep the point that is sharpest working on the hair for you. If you try to do it with a blunt pencil, you won't get those fine lines. At this point we're going to be blending a lot anyway, but it's nice to get into the practice of turning that pencil. Taking those right the way down to the bottom where the ear joins the main face. And then we've got a funny little sort of widget in that ear. I don't know what the technical term is, maybe some people do. So back with the burgundy shade to give that sense of life in there, and around it with the carbon black, highlighting the shape of that curved point. Each cat has its own individual markings, so you need to observe your reference photo to ensure that you're picking out the particulars of each cat. Now I've got a lovely soft pale grey Caran D'Ache pencil. It's almost like a pearl grey, which takes a lovely bit of shade onto that dark and will blend really softly. The Pitt pencils blend, but they Caran D'Ache seem to blend a lot easier. They seem to be a lot softer. And working with a pale colour, you can then put another colour over the top and it will come out slightly lighter than if you just used it straight onto the paper. Which is great if you want to blend and get sort of paler shades. Working in a slightly circular motion with this pencil to soften, and then over the top with another layer of the slightly burgundy shade. All the time you're just aware of the shape of the ear, keeping that central part darkest because that's curved away from us, so it's the darkest, furthest spot of the ear. The rest, the sides actually come forward because the ear is curved, concave, so you want to give that illusion of that shape using your colours and your shading. Just getting that little area sorted so that we know that we've got that dealt with. The beauty of these is that you can keep going back over the top, adding different layers until you're satisfied with the colours that you've got and the depth of colour. The Pastelmat paper has an excellent tooth, which is basically the grip that it gives onto the colours. Some papers will only allow you to put 1 or 2 layers of colour, and then the tooth is actually full. The Pastelmat's designed so that you can put lots more layers, although eventually, of course, it will fill. So you do need to be aware of what you're doing and make sure that you get the colours in that you need. Again, we're just working out to the edge of that ear against the background. Lighter sandy warm colour there going in where it's just catching the light, and works nicely against that burgundy colour to give a warm shade. Back in with the carbon black to keep adding layers of the dark which are at the very edge of that ear, bringing it down around that little feature. And across to the base of that ear where it joins. We're not going to do that face at this moment, we're just concentrating on this ear. And now adding in the carbon black between those soft hairs gives a lot more depth and takes that dark colour into that central area. A mid-grey softly around the edge again gives extra shape and blends in with that burgundy and pink colour that we've just used, avoiding that central area again to keep that lovely blue-grey colour that we applied. Carbon black to keep working around that area, softening and blending. A little darker area within that shape, so we can add that in as well. You can push quite hard with these pencils, working in the shape and the direction of the hairs. It means that the beginning of the stroke is quite dark but gets lesser as it spreads to the end of the fur, which gives a good soft fur feel to the picture. Now we're going in with a whiter shade with the Pitt pencil, slightly sharper, and again I'm turning the pencil to get that nice point that needs to be done for the fur. Okay, so we're dragging that through and right the way across the ear because there's quite a lot of fluff on this cat. Taking those hairs, there's some random shapes again which you need to refer to your reference photo. Each cat has very specific markings. Soft grey again, just add that little bit of pearly touch. Working out from the darker black across the ear. Now going in between with the carbon black to add depth. And then what it will do as well, darkens in the centre and softens where the fur emanates, those strokes that you've just put in. You can break them up and make them look a lot softer at the base. So it doesn't look as if it's just coming out of nowhere. And that's softening really nicely there. A little bit more. And then finally I'm just going to bring that detail down where the ear meets the rest of the body, and we'll work on that later. Thanks very much for watching my video. I hope you will have enjoyed watching the process of creating the cat's ear in soft pastels. Please don't forget to join me next time when I show you in detail how to work on the eye, which is a great thing for cats. And I hope you've enjoyed it. Please don't forget to subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye bye.